All right, I am back, baby. Good to be back. We will be discussing the Chicago Bears lost to the Ravens yesterday. They did not have to lose that game. We're going to get into the reasons why they lost. Chicago Bulls looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 2021. Chicago Blackhawks lose last night. And of course, we will touch on every single Chicago sports team right after the intro. Good morning, Chicago sports fans. Welcome to another episode of Chi-Town Sports Central, where we're your number one spot for all things Chicago sports related. It's your boy Big Kev holding it down for Chi-Town. And we're going to get right into the content. Y'all already know, hit me up at Big Kev from the Chi, Big Kev from DACHI. And then, of course, follow the rest of the Chi-Town Sports Central family by typing in your favorite Chicago sports team and putting the word Central behind it. All right. Favorite Chicago sports team by far is the Chicago Bears. No matter how poorly they treat us, we are a football city. We love the Bears. They don't love us the same way we love them, but hey, that's a different conversation. Yesterday's game between the Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore Ravens was a very winnable game, and the Chicago Bears end up losing said game. And honestly, it was a close game until the end of the fourth quarter, where they just kind of fell apart after the referees did not call a offensive pass interference face mask against DeAndre Hopkins that kept the drive going and ended up in a touchdown for the Ravens, which basically was the end of the game there. But had the Bears been able to get off the field defensively, Caleb Williams and company would have had an opportunity to go down and score a game-tying touchdown, maybe go to overtime and get the W. However, the game was not won or lost because of that last drive. It was a bevy of circumstances that led to that moment that the Chicago Bears just kept shooting themselves in the foot. First and foremost, penalties. Like, my goodness. The Chicago Bears had 11 penalties for 79 yards. They are now, they remain dead last in the NFL with regard to penalties. They have no discipline when it comes to these types of situations. Crazy. And there are a couple of penalties that Baltimore didn't even accept. And I don't get it. We know that Ben Johnson is a stickler for detail, and he expects perfection, and no team is going to be perfect unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs, when they didn't get any penalties called earlier this season versus the Detroit Lions. But hey, at least they beat the Lions. But the Chicago Bears are not good enough to overcome every single week 70, 80, 90, 100 yards in penalties. And they've done it all season long. They're now 4-3. You're looking at a team that could be 6-1 if they played disciplined football. The loss to Minnesota was avoidable. Lots of penalties there. The loss to Baltimore yesterday was definitely avoidable. Plenty of penalties there. If they wanted to win yesterday, they had to play disciplined football, and they just didn't. They just didn't. Whether it's pass interference, whether it's false starts, whether it's offsides, all of those things have to stop if you're going to be a playoff caliber team. And this team is still in the hunt for the playoffs, but it's going to be tougher and tougher as the season goes on. And you have the injuries that the Bears had yesterday for them to expect to win any type of football game if they can't clean up the penalties. And I know it's driving Ben Johnson crazy. And speaking of Ben Johnson, some of the play calling yesterday was just very questionable. The reason the Chicago Bears were able to beat the Washington Commanders, and the reason why they was able to take care of business versus New Orleans last week, was because they ran the football consistently to the tune of 150 something yards to 200 and something yards in back-to-back weeks. Yesterday, for some reason, they did not stick with the program. if you're gonna, why change the process? Because and I feel as though Ben Johnson wants to prove that he can fix Caleb Williams, that he can get Caleb Williams up to a level of playing quarterback that he expects. And the reality is, Caleb Williams is just not there yet. You got DeAndre Swift, who's on a tear. He's been the best offensive player for the Chicago Bears all season, him and Rome Odunze. And you refuse to give him the ball. You got Kyle Monangai coming into his own. Hell, last week, he damn near put up 100 rushing yards on top of the 120-some rushing yards that DeAndre Swift had. And yesterday, there were too many times where Ben Johnson decided that, hey, I'm going to put DJ Moore back there and see if he can do it. Or I'm going to run between the tackles when we can get something to the outside. Or I'm going to pass the ball after we just had a 3 to 5 yard positive run play to start the drive. Or I'm going to not run the ball when we're backed up against the opponent's end zone in a one-score game and allow Caleb Williams to throw the ball, which ended up being an interception. Ben Johnson is a first-year coach, and a lot of people are going to look at Caleb Williams and blame him 100% for this loss, and he does bear some of the blame. But we have to be honest about our head coach and the play calling. Ben Johnson came over here with highly regarded as one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. And frankly, it's been a mixed bag since he's been here in Chicago, and it's only 7 games in. But you're looking at a situation where sometimes you have to take what the defense gives you, and other times you have to take risk. But it looks like Ben Johnson is the take the risk 9 times out of 10 type of coach, and that loses you football games. Red zone. That's another reason why they lost. These guys had 2 drives to start the game where they marched all the way down to the damn near the 1 yard line and could not get into the red zone, whether it was penalties, false starts, or bad play calling. All of those led to them not scoring the football. And hell, the one touchdown that they did score, they decided to just run the ball. That's what you do. You run the ball. But instead, they petered out, only put up 6 points where they could have put their foot on these guys' necks and forced them to throw the ball. The Bears should have been up 14-0 going into the second quarter. But because it was a 6-0 game, Baltimore was able to stick to their game plan, give the ball to Derrick Henry, and go crazy. And Tyler Huntley, I don't even think he had more than 1 or 2 incompletions on the whole game yesterday. And that's understandable because the Bears were without all their defensive backs. And that's another reason why they lost. They had so many injuries. It was crazy. I can't even name everybody that was injured yesterday. Jalen Johnson, obviously, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson. Like, you can't expect much from Nahshon Wright and Nick McLeod. Like, they also didn't have Luther Burden, who went out for he left the game. Dominique Robinson, who was having a great game, great season, he was out. Shamar Turner was out, and obviously DeAndre Swift only had 11 carries yesterday, and that's part of the reason why they didn't run the ball the way that they should have, was because he's nursing a groin injury, even though he did play well enough to keep the Bears game. Roschon Johnson was also out. So obviously the sky is not completely falling because the Bears they're not at 100% health. They're not even at 70% as a team. They're running out third stringers to go out there, but there's still no excuse. You got to put the ball in the end zone. You have to put the ball in the end zone. And when you have opportunities to score, like at the end of the first half, with Caleb Williams getting a damn what was it? Intentional grounding to put them out of field goal range. He had 2 of them in the game, which caused issues for the Chicago Bears. Man, Caleb got some work to do. He has a lot of work to do as a quarterback in this league. And if you've been following us here on Chi-Town Sports Central or over on Chicago Bears Central, we are not the Chicago sports media that's going to take it easy on our quarterback. And I already mentioned the last reason why the Bears lost the game. Not that it would have really mattered, because even if they would have called the offensive pass interference and took the 15 yards, Baltimore still could have picked up the first down or picked up the yardage to get the third down into fourth down, go for it type situation. So who knows? But at the very least, the referees could have called that offensive pass interference, and who knows what would have happened from there. But yeah, those are the reasons why the Chicago Bears lost last week. They got Cincinnati coming up next week, and hopefully they go to the drawing board and figure out what they need to do to pick up this win. Because 5-3 with what 9 games to go looks way better than 4-4. And we know that the schedule gets tougher. And I'm a proponent of saying that the Bears need to go 1-0 every single week. So we'll put this one behind us. Of course, we'll be analyzing it this game a little bit more tomorrow before we look forward ahead to Cincinnati. But if you want to hear anything else about the Chicago Bears, head on over to Chicago Bears Central, where Hayes, Bobby, Steve-O, C-Dub, and myself all hold it down. Appreciate the support. Now, Chicago Blackhawks, they're actually having a pretty good start to their season. Although they lost last night to the Los Angeles Kings to the tune of 3-1, they've been playing really good hockey to start the season. They're 4-3-2 right now, which is good for, you know, if they win tomorrow and, the Stars and the Jets lose, they can put themselves right back into third place in the Western Conference. And it's not bad. It's not bad in the Central Division. So hopefully they can keep playing really good hockey. Their goaltender's been playing really well. They've been scoring the puck. They've got 26 goals on the season, which is not bad. To put it into perspective, like the Calgary Flame only have 21 on the season. They're in last place in the Western Conference. So I think this team is worth paying attention to. Now, I'm not going to lie and say I watch hockey every day, but when I do get a chance to watch them, I check them out. And this team looks like they're finally getting to the point where they cannot be overlooked. They're led by Connor Bedard and Frank Nazar. And Spencer Knight's been doing pretty good as the goaltender. And hey, we'll see how they do as the season progresses. We're looking for a host over here on Chicago Blackhawk Central. So hit us up at ShottownSports@gmail.com, ShottownSportsCentral@gmail.com. Let us know if you are interested in hosting Chicago Blackhawk Central. But of course, Chicago Blackhawk Central is still a channel, so go ahead and like, follow, and share that one as well. Now, moving on to the Chicago Cubs. They have an opportunity to pick up one of the bigger names, the former Chicago White Sox pitcher, Dylan Cease, in this offseason. And frankly, they do need another front-end starter, considering that Justin Steele has been injury-prone the last couple of years. Shota Imanaga has come crashing all the way down to earth. Cade Horton was okay. He did get Rookie of the Year. If you missed that, you can head on over to Chicago Cubs Central and see the report on that. But they need another starter. They need actually like 2 more starters. And Dylan Cease, he's only 29. He'll be 30 soon. And he's probably going to be making closer to $26-27 million a year. The Cubs can sign him. They need him. They were 23rd in strikeout rate and 24th in fastball velocity. That's not good enough. Not good enough to make it to the World Series, which is what the Chicago Cubs hope to do. And they definitely have interest in Dylan Cease. And as a Chicago White Sox fan, I know how good he is. He has 1,231 career strikeouts. And he had the highest strikeout through 9 innings in baseball, 11 and a half. And he was a 95th percentile in whiff rate. So he's definitely good enough to play for the Chicago Cubs and help them win some games. Now, the real problem for him, though, is he struggles in the playoffs. That's just a fact. He's had troubles with San Diego in the playoffs, and he has a career 3.88 ERA. Now, that's not bad, but that's not great. He's not going to be an ace, but he does pitch well in Wrigley. When you playing against Wrigley Field, he has a 2.12 ERA with 32 strikeouts and just 21 and two-third innings. So maybe if he came to the Chicago Cubs, he can continue to be dominant there. At the end of the day, Chicago Cubs have an opportunity to bring in a gentleman that's going to give you 30 to 35 starts. He's going to be in the 3.5 to under 4 ERA. He's going to strike out batters, and that's what you need. That's what they couldn't do against the Milwaukee Brewers when they were ousted from the playoffs. So Dylan Cease, hey, it wouldn't be bad to see him come back to Chicago, albeit to the north side, and hopefully they can get it done among other things. If you guys want to hear anything else about the Chicago Cubs, head on over to Chicago Cubs Central, where my boy Big Mike is holding it down. There's no news on the Chicago White Sox, but you can go on over to Chicago White Sox Central, hit that like button for when we still start back adding content. You guys can be ready for it. And finally, the Chicago Sky. We all know they had a rough season, and it could be a rough off season for them as well, as Ariel Atkins and Angel Reese are kind of like questionable on if they're going to be coming back to the team. That right there is going to be a big blow. Losing Ariel Atkins already will be terrible because they traded away draft capital for her, and it just looks like she'll be just a loner if she leaves. So they have to re-sign her, regardless of what her numbers look like. They got to re-sign her. And then, of course, losing Angel Reese would be losing an icon. Um, Obviously, her numbers are good as far as rebounds and doubles and all of that. But as you can see, her and Cardoso are supposed to be the future of this team. Now, last year, Chicago Sky drafted number 10 overall, Aja Sivka. And she didn't come over. She played for the Slovenian national team and spent the whole 2025-2026 season. Well, she'll be there in Spain showcasing her skills. And honestly, she's looking pretty good. Her best game of the season over the summer, she hit 7 3-pointers and scored 25 points. And then the other day on October 26th, because I think that's a couple of days ago, yesterday, she scored 16 points on 6 of 9 for shooting and made 4 3-pointers. And if there's anything that the Chicago Sky needs, they need somebody that can space the floor. They've in all the time that I've been watching them, especially this new iteration of the team since Candace Parker and them won the championship, they haven't had any consistent 3-point shooting. They brought Lotto over here. If you don't know who Lotto is, you gotta watch Chicago Sky Central with C-Dub and my boys Hayes and Steve-O Speaks. But they just haven't had consistent 3-point shooting. If they can get somebody over here that's going to be able to hit 4 or 5 threes a game, that's going to be a major upgrade. And she's only 19 years old. She can get to the basket. She picks her spots, and she can hit the three, and she can create her own shot off the dribble. So hopefully the Chicago Sky can bring in this young 6'3" young lady over here that could put up points and help them start to win basketball games, because last season it was very frustrating to watch I play basketball. And the Chicago Bulls. Well, if you want to hear anything else about the Chicago Sky, of course, head on over to Chicago Sky Central, where the guys are holding it down. I almost forgot to mention that the Chicago Bulls are 2-0, and they're looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 2021, and that was that iteration of the team when they had Alex Caruso and DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball, and they ran out to the best record in the Eastern Conference before Lonzo Ball got hurt, and that injury reverberated throughout the organization for 4 years. They never recovered from it. Here we are now. We're the team that's playing really well, playing physical, playing defense, and they got 2 big wins, one against the Detroit Pistons, in which they almost let a 20-point lead dissipate, but they held on and won. And then they got a good, impressive win on the road against Orlando the other night. And now they're taking on the Atlanta Hawks tonight in the United Center. And we know that the Bulls and Atlanta Hawks play each other tough. Ayo is dominant against Trae Young. We'll see how that goes tonight. But we will be live over on Playback and Chicago Bulls Central and the Shy Bulls podcast. I'll be able to be a part of the entire game. I missed most of the second game, and I was out of town for the first game, so to be excited to have all 5 of us on the broadcast tonight over on Chicago Bulls Central, the Shy Bulls podcast, and on Playback, where you can watch the game with us live. So Bulls versus Atlanta Hawks. The Bulls are looking to go 3-0 for the first time since 2020, 2021 season. 2021 is when they went 3-0, and they started 4-0. So if they can get to 4-0, that'll be in realms of 1996. I think they went 4-0 in 2021 as well. So not to get too far ahead of us, but a good win tonight for the Bulls to put them at 3-0, and it'll be exciting. I know Billy Donovan's liking this as well. This is the type of team that he wants to coach. A bunch of good young players who are ready. They're not just about themselves. So I've been liking what I've been seeing from Josh Giddey, from Trey Jones, from Kevin Huerter, even off the bench. Vooch had a decent start to the season. Hell, the bench has been playing really well. Not mad at the Chicago Bulls start to the season so far. They're 2-0. Patrick Williams has even been playing pretty well. Of course, Montes Buzelis. Kobe White's not even back yet. So now one player that I haven't liked before we get up out of here is Isaac Okoro. This dude is not looking good at all for the Chicago Bulls. I don't even know if he scored yet. Has he scored a basket? No. This man has played 2 games, and he's averaging 4.5 rebounds and 2.0 assists and 4.5 fouls. No steals, no blocks. I think he got like 1 block. Ill. Donuts across the board. 0% field goal percentage, 0% 3-point percentage, and 0% from the free throw line. We could have kept Lonzo Ball for that, my guy. Whatever is going on with young fella, you figure it out, because you were a number 5 pick in 2020. Number 5 overall. You cannot, Isaac Okoro, be out here making the type of money that you make. They have 0 points. You haven't scored a basket in 2 games, 22 minutes a game. What you doing out there, bro? Just getting cardio? But yeah, catch us tonight, man, over the Bulls, Shy Bulls podcast in the Chicago Bulls Central, where we're all holding it down over there, but Hayes does the brunt work over there. So appreciate you guys for rocking with me this morning. If you like the content, go ahead, comment, and share. And it's good to be back. Me and wifey had a good time on our vacation, but now it's back to reality. Ugh. All right. Appreciate the love and support. We're going to holler at you guys next time. Peace.